In this video, we're going to revisit graphing, specifically with transformations. So you should already be familiar with our basic graphing and our graph transformations, because now you're on to the challenge problems. You already kind of have the basics down. We previously learned what a graph like this is going to look like. So there's an x squared, so it's going to be a parabola. And then this plus 3 here is going to move it left 3. This minus 4 here is going to move it down 4. And this negative sign here is going to flip it the other way. All right, so my final graph is that yellow graph there. But there's more thing we have to look at, and what that is, what happens if we put a number out here? All right, so now you can see we have the square root of x, but we have a number in the front. We start off with our red graph is our traditional square root function. We start at 0, 0. We go right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2, right 9, up 3. All right, so that's my traditional kind of square root graph. All right, those dots are the kind of the important ones. And then how does that compare if I put a 2? Well, I can still go right 1, but now I go up 2 instead of up 1. Now I go right 4, up 4. So instead of going up 2, I go up 4. Instead of going up 3, I go up 6. All right. So it's kind of just changing how far up I go in each of these times. It's kind of stretching my graph up. And we can't see all of the 4, 1, but instead of going up 1, I'm going to go up 4, because that's 4. Instead of going up 2, I go up 4 times 2, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so you can see it's just stretching these points up to kind of create a more elongated graph. And I can see the same thing with my my parabola function. My original parabola function, I normally go right 1, up 1, right 2, up 4, and do the same thing to the left. Right. But now if I have a 3x in the front, I'm just going to multiply those up parts by 3. So I go right 1, instead of up 1, I'm going to go up 3, and you can see that there. Right 2, up originally 4, now it'd be up 12, up there. And next is negative 2x. So know the negative makes this go in the other way, but the 2 is just going to double the gap. So I'm going to go right 1, down 2, left 1, down 2, right 2. It used to be down 4, so now it's going to be down 8. So it'd be right there at 8, down here at negative 8. So the basic idea is that when you multiply a function, it just stretches the values away by that amount. All right, so if I have a 2x, it just moves everything by a factor of 2 up. If I had a 3x, it moves everything by a factor of 3. All right, so we can use these with our other transformations to quickly graph quadratics in square roots. All right, so what is 2 times the square root of x minus 3 going to look like? All right, well, we know the x minus 3 is going to move our graph to the right 3. So this is my original square root graph. Let's draw each 1, 4, 2. All right, so this is my original square root graph with those kind of 3 important points. I'm going to move it right 3. So one of these points is going to move right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There. All right, so that's my new graph. And now my final graph is the 2. All the points are going to get shifted up by a factor of 2. Well, this point's on the x-axis, so it's not going to move. This point's 1 above the x-axis, so now it's going to move up double that to there. This point is 2 above the x-axis, so now it moves double to up to 4 above the x-axis. Now I draw my graph like that. Right? So you can see everything kind of just doubles, because it's the 2, doubles its distance away from the x-axis. What about this one? Negative 3 times x plus 1 squared minus 2. Right away, I know my graph is going to shift. Right away, I know it's a parabola graph, so that's the first thing I know. It's a parabola graph, and I normally have these like 5 points to help me graph a parabola. But now my graph is going to get shifted left 1, down 2. So everything's going to get shifted left 1, down 2. And I have the same pattern. 2, 4, left 2, 4. All right, to this parabola. Right. And then the last thing I have is this negative 3 up front. So that negative 3 is going to flip it and then make everything go by a factor of 3. So this one is our starting point. But then instead of going right one, down one, I'm going to go right one, down 3. All right. Left one, instead of going down 1, I'm going to go down 3. And that's going to give me my parabola, looks like this. And I could also go right 2, down 12, because normally it would be 4, but now it's 12. Next one, square root graph. Again, let's just draw our original square root graph. Starting point, over 1, up 1, over 4, up 2. All right, so that's my traditional square root graph. Like that. And now it's going to move left 3, up 2. So left 3, up 2. Do the same thing, right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2. That's my new square graph. And now I'm going to take that graph, flip it because of the negative, and scale it up by a factor of 4. So my starting point's the same, but instead of being here, which is over 1, up 1, I'm going to go a factor of 4. So 1 times 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. There. This is normally 2 up from my starting point. So now 2 times 4 is 8. So now it's going to be 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8. It's going to be that point. I'm going to have this as my new square root graph. All right, so I'm just kind of doing my normal shifting, and then I just scale those points by a factor. I'm multiplying them by whatever that number is there. All right, one more problem. Again, pause the video whenever you want. Try it on your own. Here I have my square root function. 1, 1, 4, 2. Those are my square root points. I'm going to move it right 2, down 4. I do the exact same points. And now from that starting point, I'm going to scale everything up by a factor of 2. So this was 1 above that point, and now it's double that. This was 2 above that point, and now it's double that. And I get this new square root graph there. All right, so all that's changing is sometimes, your starting point's not going to change. All right, so our starting point for our square root function is that kind of origin. So that point doesn't change, but everything else just gets kind of farther away from the starting point based on whatever that number is. All right, so go ahead and practice this. Make sure you understand. It's really going to make sure you understand your transformations you already know how to do. And then really using those kind of starting points. So for the square root function, we have there's 3 starting points. The parabolas, we have 5. All right, how is that going to affect them? They just get farther away based on whatever that number you're multiplying by is.